Alt AZ 93.3. We're here with Bethany of Best Coast. Just announced you guys are going to be performing our School AZ, our School Days Music Festival here this fall. It's a Now Music Festival. We've got 7 bands that we think the audience needs to get to know, and between Atlas Genius, Bully, Ms. Mister, Saint Motel, The Main, New Politics, and of course you guys, Best Coast. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about the band first, but your little icon on Skype is a dog. Is that your little doggy?
No, that's not my dog.
Oh, okay.
I don't even I haven't used Skype in a really long time, so I don't even remember what the icon is, but I'm
Oh,
sure it's something
the dog's probably dead by now.
good.
So where are you at? You're like on the side of a road somewhere.
Yeah, I am in LA. I'm running some errands today because we leave for Japan in the morning.
Oh, fun.
So I'm out running some errands. I pulled over to chat with you.
Well,
So,
we appreciate that. I won't take too much of your time. One of the things I love about Best Coast is you guys have kind of done this all by yourself. You're into album 3 now. It just came out, California Nights, and you've kind of built this following, and you've got huge following, especially in Southern California. Now you're headed off to Japan. Um, how has that growth worked for you, or where did it come from?
I honestly have I don't have the correct answer for that. I mean, I think that like at the end of the day, I think that we just sort of like, the point of my music is to be very like relatable and honest, and I think that people connect with it on a level because they can relate to me as a person and can sort of like relate to the things that I'm talking about in the music. And I think Bob is sort of the same way as well. He's a pretty relatable guy, and we're both kind of just like laid back people. And I think that it's catchy music and it's paired with people that are relatable and easygoing, and I think that people see that in us and they follow it. So luckily we haven't had to try crazy hard. We just keep doing what comes natural to us, and it's been successful thus far, so we're stoked on that.
Now, on the evolution of your sound, you can kind of tell how the band has grown and evolved over the course of the last couple of albums. Going into album 3 and California Nights, what kind of a challenge was it for you to, maintain the integrity of what makes you guys so cool, but also evolve the sound of the band at the same time?
I mean, I think that sort of happened organically. I think that it kind of just we've been a band for 5 years now. I mean, our first record came out 5 years ago, and I think that the people that we were 5 years ago compared to the people that we are today, and when we made California Nights, it was a growth that I think happened naturally, and nothing was really forced. And when we started making the record, we kind of just said like, let's not hold back in any way. So as far as like influences and stuff went, we sort of explored some areas that maybe in the beginning we wouldn't have necessarily tapped into. And maybe, whether that be because we weren't into it at the time, or we were just sort of like trying to stay within this one realm of sort of influences and sort of this sound that we did. But I think that 5 years later, we're in a place where we're not really afraid to, like reach into different pools and kind of like try different stuff. So I think that is kind of like what we did with this record was we just sort of allowed the natural evolution to sort of like take control of the recording process.
Has your personal confidence as an artist grown as well? Like, do you feel, more confident, more powerful with what you're able to do on stage than you were when you started?
Yeah, totally. I mean, when we first started, I was like, I had never been like the front woman of a band before. I had always sort of performed like I was a singer, and I would always just sort of like sing, but I was never really behind a microphone saying like, "Hey, thanks for coming to our show," and playing the guitar and doing the whole thing that I do. So definitely now I'm more used to it and I'm more comfortable, and I'm a lot older now. So I think that also has a lot to to do with it, just growing up and kind of being in a place now where I'm more confident as not only a musician but as a 29-year-old woman as well. So I think that has something to do with sort of the confidence that comes across on stage now, for sure.
Now, I was reading a little bit about your history. You said you're 29 now, but you've kind of always gravitated towards music, and you've always had that talent, and you probably had earlier opportunities to get involved in music that before starting Best Coast. Is it something that you avoided for some reason, or why'd you wait until your 20s to get into a band, I guess? If you Because you clearly have the musical talent, and it's been there for a lot longer than just this band.
Well, I mean, I've been playing music since I was like a little kid. Like, my parents say that as early as I could start talking, I started singing. And I really can't remember a point in my life where I wasn't involved in music at some point, whether it was singing in choir or like doing musicals in school or, just anything I could do that was related to music, I did. But I think that as far as like having a band, I wasn't entirely sure of like how to do that. And I think that when I started Best Coast, I wasn't even entirely sure of what I was doing. I was just kind of like starting a band and playing songs, and then it kind of like the success of it kind of rapidly just sort of, it kept building and building, and it happened really quickly. And I think that like that wasn't something that I set out to make happen. It just happened again organically, and everything with this band has been very, very natural. Nothing felt forced. And so I think that in the past, like, maybe I was unsure of what I was doing, but I think that like this was just sort of the thing that was meant to be.
Okay.
And so I think that it just kind of happened the way that it did because that's the way that it was supposed to be. And I can't imagine being, I can't imagine having done this with any of the other projects that I was involved in when I was like younger. So needless to say, I'm happy that this is the one that became my career, I suppose. So
it seems to be working out pretty well for you so
yeah.
far. I'll let you go here in a second. I know you spent some time in New York going to school, I believe. Can you tell me why the West Coast is the best coast?
I mean, for me, I love it because it's just, I think there's a sense of calm, like it's a lot more relaxed here than it is, I think, on the East Coast. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I do really like the East Coast. I think people assume because the band name is called Best Coast that means we don't like the East Coast. And it's not that at all. It's just that, it was like, I was coming up with a name for the band, and I was like, this seems like it makes sense, and it kind of encapsulated the, our sound in the name as well. But anyways, I think that it's just a lot more of like a relaxed kind of chilled out vibe on the West Coast, and different kind of landscape and weather, and it all just, I grew up here, so it's very much like a part of who I am, and so yeah, that's why I feel the best here.
Well, I love the single that we're playing off the album, Feeling Okay. Can you talk about that for a few seconds before I let you go?
Sure, yeah. Feeling Okay is a song that I wrote kind of just about reaching this point in my life where I started to feel kind of just for the first time in a really long time, like okay with things, and meaning like the state of my career, the state of my friendships and relationships. And, I think that for me, it was a kind of a different, it's different for me to write about like feeling positive, because I don't really do that a lot. I tend to sort of like go more towards the negative or confusing feelings of life. So I wanted to sort of write a song that exuded positivity but wasn't like overly positive. So I think that Feeling Okay is like a song that's sort of just about being content and sort of being in the middle area. Because I don't believe that anyone ever feels like perfect.
Right.
I think that okay is a really like proper way to describe the way that you feel. Because, even if you feel great, there's always something creeping up behind you, you know. So it's good to be on your toes.
Well, I love the track, and I love
Thank
the
you.
album. You know, best of luck to you in Japan, and can't wait to see
Thanks.
you here in October. It's going to be October 24th, Mesa Amphitheater. It's our School Days Music Festival. Tickets are available, altaz933.com. Have a great one, Bethany. Thank you a lot.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.